Now this begins with my childhood near Woodstock, in a little community about 7 miles from Woodstock. This beautiful little community in a small valley with a little rivulet running through the valley was called Sawkill. And it was established right after the Great Famine in Ireland in 1845. And this is when my ancestors came to America. The Kellys, my mother's name, and the Rileys, and settled in this beautiful little community. And where shall I begin? The focal point in this community was the Catholic Church on the little mountainside overlooking the valley. Everything was quite close together. And Sunday was the major day of the week. And the priest was an elderly, he was 90-something. And he was the, what would you call it, the parish priest, Father Dooley, with a heavy Irish accent. All right, we're gathered here together to worship and to praise and to think about Jesus Christ. Now, all of you, close your eyes. And that was so, I took it very seriously, but going to church was not my cup of tea. But with the kneeling, the Latin, the muttering and mumbling of prayers, no. But I was fascinated by Jesus. And I remember so clearly, early on, understanding that Jesus had said that he would, in a distant time, return once again. And oh, God, in my little mind, here I am, I'm 6, 7 years old, and this became my focal point. No one was aware of it, I kept it to myself, that he would return again, and I wanted nothing more than to be with him. Oh. So that, as I say, that stayed with me always. And when I was, I'd say 16 or so, I had gathered through what I heard on the radio, what I heard people talking about. I gathered information about Indian philosophy, and it resonated with me so strongly. And the whole concept of reincarnation, other lifetimes, and I fitted Jesus into that, all on my own. And many, many years later, just walking on the center, first with Adi Irani, just the two of us, on some of the remote trails, and on one occasion I asked Adi Irani, what, did he recall anything Meher Baba had said about the ancient Irish saints? And immediately Adi said, oh yes, Tom. Baba said there were many genuine saints in ancient Ireland. And I asked that same question of Meherji maybe 5 years later on the center. He said this very same thing. Yeah. So there was that karma, and now they know through the study of what's called Old Gaelic, that there are so many Sanskrit words in Old Gaelic that they know that that's where the Irish had come from thousands of years before. Made their way out of India all the way to Britain and Ireland. Yeah, it's quite fascinating. So, this Ruby Cure, she taught all 8 grades, and she was a disciplinarian. And as you sat in this big one-room schoolhouse, one wall was filled with windows, and it looked out on this heavenly little rivulet that came against the mountainside.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a field between the school and this rivulet. And more than once, just dwelling on the beauty of that, I would see Jesus standing on the edge of the river, waving at me. I was so preoccupied with him. And how many times I had to go, I was commanded to go and stand in the corner. Because I wasn't paying attention to what Ruby Cure was saying. You go to the corner right now and stand in the corner. And she put a dunce cap on my head.
Dunce cap.
Anyway, years have passed and now I'm 16. And by this time, I had become all on my own. Fairly well acquainted with Indian philosophy, but I needed much more information. Former lives and future lives and, oh God, the process of gaining more consciousness. And my older brother Bill, he was 15 years older than I, but what a treasure he was in my life. And he, on my birthday, I think I was maybe 16, gave me the 6 thin volumes, the 6 systems of Indian philosophy. And those just opened me up. I was so receptive to them. It fulfilled my need for the reacquaintance with Indian philosophy. And oh God, it was so meaningful. All right, now it's the time of the Korean War. And I'm, what am I, 18 or so? And all the boys in my senior class at high school were told that we had to go to the state capital of Albany, about 50 miles away, for a physical examination so that we could be inducted into the army so we went, traveled by buses, boys from all over the state into this huge medical complex. And this is absolutely amazing, but it's true. As soon as we got there was a vast, huge room. And nurses, female nurses, older and younger, were there, walking here and there. And we were ordered at once to take off everything.
Oh Lord.
Not just, no, leave your pants on. No, nothing like just everything. Oh my God. So everything came off, and then we lined up to go through various medical departments for examination. Everything went on and on. I'd gone through all the different eyes, the hiney, everything. here I am. I'm standing before this. He's a major, and he's sitting there, and he's looking over all of the reports from the different medical departments. And he says, well, you're looking pretty good, Tom. You're in very good health. Yeah, you're in good shape. Well, let me ask you something, Tom. How do you feel about going into the Army? I mean, just tell me openly how you feel about it. And I said, I'm not looking forward to it. I said, oh, I don't like the idea. He says, that's so. Well, why? Why is that? I said, I don't think Jesus would want me to kill people and to wound people. So it just preoccupies me that I really and truly would not like to get involved in injuring and killing and wounding people. Is that so? And he's writing the whole thing down. But this goes on, many questions and many answers. Says, by the way, Tom, let me ask you something. Have you seen Dr. Shapiro, the psychiatrist? No, I haven't. Well, look up there at the other end of the big room and see those boys standing in line there before the two oak doors. You go up there and get on that line and see the psychiatrist. Go up there right now. So I went up. Some boys were standing there. Nobody has anything on. And there, right in front of me, is an overweight boy with a big hiney. And there he is, so his turn comes and he goes in, I'm waiting. He comes out and he's all distressed. And he walks there. All right, Riley, come in. So I go in, and there's a chair and there's the doctor. He's sitting there. He's looking over a paper. He says, just sit here in the chair. So I go and sit in the chair, and the chair is hot and moist. I sit down in the chair. He begins to ask me about my attitude, my mental framework, how it responds to going into the Army. And I know Jesus wouldn't want me to kill people. And it goes on, questions. I see, and then this and that, and then what would you do if this, and I see, and so you feel that this, this goes on. All right, I see, so you have this connection with Jesus, and, well, I mean, he's standing in the way of so many things. Yes, I do believe that you will actually physically meet Jesus. And he's writing the whole thing down and all about it. You'll see him, you'll be talking to him like you're talking to me, and he'll be alive, and he'll be wearing clothing, and yes, well, let's see. So he says, well, you check with your draft board in about 10 days, and you'll see where you stand, Tom. So 10 days go by, and I go to the draft board, and there's a long counter with a fellow standing. Yeah, oh, you want your results? Right, just a minute. So he goes to the filing cabinet. They won't be calling you, Tom. And he hands me this card, and it says, schizoid personality, heavily underlined, severe. That was it. And I had two very close friends. Still remember their names, Peter Brinkman and Peter Butler, both killed. Yeah. So here I am. I'm in my senior year at high school. I took an elective course that was put together by a French teacher, Pierre Etienne was his name. And this course was a study of comparative religion. All the different religions. And there was a lot of hostility by the Presbyterians, the Catholics, the Methodists, this and that, the Jews. Oh, Walter, we don't want our children. No, we don't want them. So, but it passed, went to the state capitol on the Board of Education, and they said yes. Praise Allah. And the course was given, and I took the course. And whoa, what a fulfillment it was. And the teacher, Pierre Etienne, I'll never forget him. He was so informative and enlightening. I had my aunt was married to an Italian from Italy. His name was Bertoli. And his family owned the Italian-American lines. And he said to me one day, here I am, just about to graduate from high school, he began to inform me about what's called the National Maritime Union. And if I joined this union, I could work aboard ships anywhere in the world. And made 10 times what I could make as a handyman. So, whoa, because I was going to college in the fall, and I certainly needed the money. So I went to the Union Hall in New York City. I joined the union, and my first ship, very early in the summer, this happened rapidly, was an American export lines, and the ship was going to Casablanca and then into the Mediterranean. And got the ship, boarded the ship just before it left. And on the ship, this was true in every case, there were nationalities from all over. And I don't know why it was, but I somehow encountered this older Yugoslavian. His name was Leo Sanvic. And Leo, in my memory right now, was one of the most remarkably wonderful human beings I ever met. He was such a friend. He was 34 years old and I was 18. But somehow we had karma and we just became friends. Leo was a big guy. And also on the ship, so many different ethnic types, conflicts arose. All the time, you had to be on guard all the time. And there was an Englishman, a limey from Liverpool. His name was Ralph Bates. And Ralph did not like the Irish. He was anti-Irish. Oh, he was, there he is. Oh, he's Irish, eh? So, the first evening at dinner in the mess hall, we all had gotten our dinners and we're sitting there and beginning to eat, and Ralph stands up. He says, I'd like everybody's attention right now. I've got something very important to say, so I want everyone to listen to me. Yeah, you, stop eating and listen to me. All right. I want to define for all of you. You may not know, but I'm going to tell you. I'm going to define for you exactly what an Irishman is. Everybody's God. And he waits a while and everybody's focused on him. He says, an Irishman is nothing but a nigger turned inside out. That's what an Irishman is. Everybody goes like this. And Leo stands up. He says, come over here to me, you little cockroach. Right now. I said, now! So he goes over and stands in front of Leo. Leo grabs him like this right here, and he lifts him right off the ground. He says, you ever say anything bad like that again to my friend Tom, and I'll slap you fucking silly. And then you know what I do? And he shakes him like this. I throw you overboard. Now go back right now and apologize to Tom. So he goes over to me and, listen, Tommy, what I said about the Irish and the niggers, I was only spoofing. Can't you take a joke? So, the next day, we're all working out on the deck on scraping what's called a bulkhead. And Ralph is walking by and he says, listen everybody, I want you to look. Look at the way Tommy's doing that. Look at the way he's scraping that. He's doing it the right way. Pay attention to Tommy and you'll learn something because he's the best in what he does. What a friend Leo was. Ah, so the ship docks. Coming along the coast, it's about 250 miles on the African coast from Gibraltar. And it's so beautiful. The ship is coming along close to the coast, and here Casablanca begins to form. It's full of white, many white houses on that low mountainside with red tile roofs. It's so beautiful. And the ship docks, and we have the whole day off. And the shore crew takes over, and we're given the whole day off. So after breakfast, I just have to examine the city because it just took my breath away. So I start out right after breakfast. I explore the whole city, so many things. English was just spoken everywhere. And it was so beautiful, and I found out that wealthy people from all over Europe have homes there. Every place you look, the architecture takes your breath away. It's so beautiful. You look out toward the west over the Atlantic. Oh, it was heaven. So all right, I spent the whole day exploring, and I'm coming home. It's like 3 o'clock, coming back to the ship. And I notice as I'm walking, the beautiful terraces and parks are everywhere. So I'm walking through this park, and mosaic and stonework is so beautiful. So I sit down on a stone bench, and I notice that there's someone following me. And he's carrying like a briefcase, what was it called, a big folder. And he's trying to sell something to me. I have something, I sell them cheap, I want to show you, I show you, you like them. So this goes on, I've been ignoring him, and I sit down on the stone bench, and he comes over and puts the folder down on the stone bench. And he says, I sell you cheap, you buy them cheap. And what the hell is going on here? So he opens up the folder, big folder like this, and here are innumerable, what would you call them, pornographic photographs. And I looked at him, and I stood up and went over to him. He said, you buy them, you have this one and this and this. I said, and I looked at him, and he stops, looks at me, and I said, what would Muhammad say to you? He was, everybody there was this a Muslim. And they all spoke English because if you didn't, you couldn't make any money. So I said, what would Muhammad say to you if he saw you trying to sell these images to me? And I'm a Christian. What would he say to you? His eyes get big. Oh, mutters some words and Islam. Falls down, kneels, please, please forgive me, please. And he starts wailing. Pierre Etienne, he was the fellow who put the comparative religions class together. And I realized it really, a course like that should be mandatory, because it opens people up. Doesn't put anything down, it just opens things up. But so many of the different religions absolutely forbade it. Isn't that sad?